I'm Dr. Connie. I'm your host of Mind Your Health podcast. I share my unique perspective both as a practitioner and a patient battling autoimmune condition for over 25 years because I had to figure things out on my own, and my education in my practical approach as a patient allows me to truly integrate it so that you can be whole and the burden of sick care is no longer your own burden to carry. And this is what we help you with in this podcast. Hey everyone, this is Dr. Connie. So I want to talk about endocrine system and our nervous system. Here at Functional Yoga Medicine, I'm all about the EASE methodology. And if you haven't watched anything about EASE methodology, there was a podcast episode before this one, but I will have my team tag it here where I explain the EASE methodology. E stands for enteric, and A stands for autonomic, S stands for somatic, and E stands for empowered psychology. So with that context, I want to emphasize how your body is some of the whole parts. Everything needs to synchronously work together. And I think often when something goes awry, specifically our thyroid, we get thyroid supplementation because the most common form of thyroid dysregulation is hypothyroidism. And some of the symptoms with hypothyroidism is weight gain, muscle loss, fatigue, hair loss. It's very cosmetic sometimes, like it's more external. So I know a lot of females, including myself, are like, no, we want resolution right away. But here's the thing. When we get thyroid sources from outside, you're essentially telling your thyroid, hey, you can stop working, you can go to sleep forever, because now we're getting external, exogenous forms of it. So it actually dysregulates pituitary thyroid stimulating hormone to produce the T3, T4 in the thyroid. It kills that biofeedback mechanism, but it doesn't just stop with pituitary and the thyroid communication, because thyroid communicates to the whole body, the whole system. Now you're letting the synthetic hormones do its job, so it's going to always be regulated from outside of you, which completely doesn't do justice. So I want to just talk about how our nervous system affects our thyroid hormones and what you can do to regulate it daily. And it's going to feel like, oh, that has nothing to do with the thyroid. But no, it does, because everything is connected. So thyroid hormone and nervous system is connected because, number one, it regulates your neurotransmitter, the neurochemistry. It regulates that. It also has a metabolic effect in the whole body, and I will go into these points more in detail. And then it also affects your peripheral nervous system, your nerve health, and all the things that pertains to your muscles and your joints, as well as central nervous system, all about the cognitive ability, foggy brain and headaches and things. And then you might have imbalances in your body, as well as it can really deter your sleep and circadian rhythm. And then your muscles can weaken and reflexes completely be affected by it. So going down the list, number one, neurotransmitter regulation. Well, thyroid hormones and neurotransmitters are essentially working together at all times because thyroid hormones modulate neurotransmitters, specifically the serotonin and norepinephrine, which are crucial for mood regulation and neuronal or neural nervous system communication. So that's essential. And then the implications for this for mental health is huge because dysregulation of these neurotransmitters can actually lead to mental health issues like depression and anxiety, which are commonly observed in thyroid disorders like hypothyroidism. Second is metabolic impact. So number one is all about cellular energy production. At the cellular level, we're making ATP, which is the currency for our energy, for us to have this energy, right? A lot of hypothyroidism are tired, a lot of people who suffer with that. Because the thyroid gland influences cellular metabolic rate and thereby the energy available for your, specifically, neurons, the nervous system that communicates back and forth to your brain. And then the overall neuronal function, nervous system function. Suboptimal energy production can negatively impact neuronal function and repair, potentially affecting cognitive function and nerve transmission. Number three is peripheral nervous system, nerve health. Adequate thyroid hormone levels are actually crucial for the maintenance and regeneration of myelin, which is the protective sheaths covering nerves so that the signals can be amplified. So if you're not getting that, you might have a lot of numbness and tingling and a lot of weakness as well. And then there are symptoms of imbalance. In cases of thyroid hormone imbalance specifically, you may experience peripheral neuropathy, which is that numbness and tingling, right? Or pain in the extremities when you have no spinal issues. Number four is central nervous system. We call this the CNS. It's your motherboard for everything that your body does. It affects your development because thyroid hormones are critical for central nervous system development, especially during fetal and early postnatal periods for women. And cognitive impact. In adults, both excess and deficiency of thyroid hormones can impact your memory, concentration, as well as cognitive function. I hear this a lot in my hypothyroid patients. They can't think of words, and it worries them. Number five is sleep and circadian rhythm. With the pineal gland, which produces melatonin, it affects the sleep quality because, again, thyroid connects to the central nervous system via the pituitary and the pineal gland. Imbalances in thyroid hormones levels can disrupt sleeping patterns, leading to issues like insomnia or excessive daytime sleepiness because that circadian dysregulation, because the thyroid and its hormones help to regulate the body's biological clock working with the pineal gland, affecting the sleep-wake cycles, hormone production, as well as cellular repair process. It's involved in a lot, but not by itself. It's a collective synergistic effect. Number six is muscle function and reflexes. The muscle control, when you think about muscular control, thyroid hormones actually influence muscle function, and an imbalance can lead to weaknesses, cramping, or unusual muscle reflexes. As for the reflexes, hypothyroidism can slow reflexes while hyperthyroidism might cause them to be overly active, which both are a problem. So how do you deal with this in the most comprehensive and integrative way? If you know anything about functional yoga medicine, it's more about us empowering you to live the solution every day. So I want you to start to think about functional yoga medicine, really looking at approaching hypothyroidism or hyper, looking at the underlying issues and causes and the holistic impact rather than just addressing the specific symptoms or the specific organs in question, because it's never the culprit. It's usually the consequences of other dis-ease in the body, which is altered from harmonious working. It's highly dysregulated, largely due to different variables, but mostly subconscious stressors in our lives. And I say subconscious because most patients will tell me, I have no stress. And then I do the first workup and it's like, there's the stress, there's the stress, there's the stress, except that that's become their norm. And I'm no different. That's me too, right? So don't feel bad about that. So I really want to emphasize it needs to be customized and individualized approach and therapies, because treatments might involve some nutritional support to enhance thyroid production or to free it up from protein bound thyroid within the body. So endogenous freeing up of the thyroid muscles, the active form, as well as the conversion factors, looking at that and looking at lifestyle modifications and enhancements, as well as looking at stress and defining it and managing them better. And if necessary, sometimes we might seek pharmaceutical interventions, but that would be your last choice, and it would be the first thing that you want to pull away from. And then you want to always think about you at the core. You need to be at the core, and nobody else's treatment might look the same like you because you're unique and special. And it should involve detailed understanding of your health history, your genetic factors, environmental exposures, and your habitual lifestyle patterns. And you sort of develop a therapeutic strategy. So remember, EASE method is all about taking a multidimensional, truly holistic approach to thyroid, which is, I believe, is key in always seeking to balance and harmonize from within instead of altering something, bringing in from the outside. And as I said, E stands for enteric, A stands for autonomic, S stands for somatic, and E stands for empowered psychology. So enteric is all about gut health, enhancing things. And when you think about gut, we think about dietary approaches. So I want you to implement some strategies that support your thyroid function, like ensuring adequate intake of iodine, selenium, and zinc, which are vital for thyroid hormone production. I've learned that it's not just one. And if you're low in any of the aforementioned things, it means you might be nutriently deficient, or you might not be really optimizing your nutrition or nourishment. So always opting for rainbow of whole foods versus processed foods, and understanding your state of being when eating is much more important, because too often we cause undue stress in the name of health, specifically with restrictive diets. So I'm not a proponent of restrictive diet and take away this and restricting you. I really believe food is enjoyment, and how can we make it more tasty and so that you can enjoy it more is the name of the game for me. So I want you to think about gut and thyroid axes, the connection between the two, because acknowledging the link between gut health and thyroid function is key. Address your gut issues, such as optimizing your gut microbiome and managing gut inflammation, which can potentially impact your thyroid health because the absorption will be so much better, and you're able to turn over the good food into nourishment, into micronutrients and macronutrients that your body desperately needs, right? Remember too that your gut or the enteric system is highly sensitive to stress. So always keeping that in mind. A stands for autonomic nervous system. So stress management is big because chronic stress, which impacts the autonomic nervous system, is often linked with thyroid dysfunction. Employ stress management techniques like mindfulness and, of course, my favorite, yoga, right? And then another thing that's super effective, you guys, is breathing. Learn breath work to regulate your own nervous system and manage stress for an essential life skill of modulating your own autonomic response, potentially impacting the overall hormonal balance and thereby your thyroid function. S stands for somatic, body, the musculoskeletal system. It's all about movement. So I want you to engage in regular, moderate, functional movement to support metabolic rate and manage symptoms like weight gain associated with hypothyroidism. Movement is medicine to provide the somatic, which means musculoskeletal regulation, to allow the mind to anchor to the body, to trigger the healing circulation throughout your body. It has to be intentional. This is why yoga is the best form of movement to elicit this change, because you can actually connect the mindfulness and the breath into every movement. Next is physical therapy. As you know, I have a doctorate in physical therapy. And for somatic issues like muscle weakness or joint pain, sometimes seen in thyroid disorders, consider therapeutic approaches like physical therapy. I like to use yoga to help you to target areas of weakness so that you can learn to use your body for optimal function. And if you have this, please make a call. Reach out to us at info@functional yoga medicine. Just a little bit of little bit of a boost in my business is if you need help there, you can email us there, info@functionalyogamedicine.com, and we'd be glad to take you on. E is empowered psychology. It's all about your mental health, and I think it's the most important. Number one is education. Learn as much as you can about yourself and what you may be doing habitually to create dis-ease in the body so that you can promote ease within. And then there is the psychological support. The best prognosis is within, who builds those strong community of warriors. I believe community is everything, because you want to beat the odds by constantly growing and overcoming the limits of our minds. For that, we need to be uplifted, held accountable, and supported. We just simply need that space, right? Remember, we're the average of 5 people we surround ourselves with. Be a part of community that uplifts, provides accountability, and space for you to truly blossom from the inside out. And then there's the behavioral shift. Learning your triggers and underlying habitual cycles is key to shifting your perspective. It is our thinking that creates our feelings that trigger our behavior to create the results. Questioning your underlying beliefs is essential for transformation. So, how do you integrate the ease approach? Well, again, think you at the core. Keep in mind that thyroid disorders can present differently for every individual. That affects the whole body systems. So you must start outside in. So it may not be thyroid specific, but just know if you can learn to regulate the nervous system, everything's going to harmonize from within, right? And then you want to think about multifaceted integrative approach. It's important to coordinate all aspects of your system, the enteric, autonomic, somatic, and empowered psychology to holistically address ease components. All of these are addressed in the practice of yoga. Really, it does everything for you, especially if you add the intention with the attention. And then you want to be specific about continuous monitoring. Thyroid management often necessitates ongoing care and adjustments of strategies according to evolving needs, because your life changes and you're different every day. It's critical to reiterate that managing thyroid issues must adhere to an established guideline and principles as well. And sometimes we might need a little bit of help medically, and that's okay. But I emphasize temporarily, right? Thus, using the ease method or any other approach should complement, not replace completely, the conventional medical management. Still important, but I want you to be well versed in the ease methodology. So eventually you pull away from it so that your body can resume its normal optimal function. That's the way I'd like to see it. Okay. As always, prioritize strategies and interventions that have a robust evidence base in the scientific literature. And I abide by all these standards at Functional Yoga Medicine and everything that I'm telling you here. So remember, you want to be empowered. You want to be informing yourself so that you can make informed, smart decisions, thereby empowering yourself with knowledge about interplay between thyroid health and nervous system functionality so that you can make informed, empowered decisions is critical for your wellness. So begin to step into your power by not abdicating your health to professionals, but take charge. It is the one home you must live inside until the end. And oftentimes, many of us aren't even present in our bodies. So you can look at the vacated house, right? You go on vacation for like 2 weeks, for example. There's dust bunnies, spider webs, like unkept. And it's almost like we leave that and we look outside of us, looking out the window all the time to see what's out there, when within is so much we can do to help ourselves. It's really practical. So please listen to me. I know what I'm talking about, especially because of my struggles with my own health. And I hope this helped you, because thyroid is really becoming a epidemic. It's a lot of people have issues. I recently interviewed a 10-year-old who was having it. Her mother was just in tears and at her wit's end. And it can be scary. So please take charge. It's all within you. And this is all about creating ease, not disease. Thank you so much. This has been fun. This is Dr. Connie. I'll see you guys all later. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Mind Your Health podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, we would so much love it and appreciate it if you share it with someone who could benefit as well as to subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else where podcasts are found. And leave us a review. We would be so grateful, and it helps us to reach more people just like you, so you can become more empowered to enjoy longevity and health. You can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Dr. Connie Chung. And of course, you can subscribe to this podcast for a new episode every single week.